G'day folks, welcome to another coal painting tutorial. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to paint a Khador Juggernaut. This is what he looks like at the end of the project, and you're going to be seeing your paint list come up right now. Okay, so we have the guy all primed in gray. I'm going to go down and lay out a base coat of Badger's Regal Red. It went on kind of thin, could be an older pot of paint. But once I committed, I didn't want to stop, so I'm just going to have to layer on 2 layers of this, and you can see it dry, and then come back on and then hit that second layer. So it would be weird to paint a privacy pressed model and not use some of their paints, so we're going to hit majority of the model here, leaving that Regal Red in the undercoat or in the deepest areas, but we're going to hit that with Khador Red. Once the Khador Red is all dry, I'm going to go in to any of the brighter areas I'm going to want the red to be and hit it with Snow White, being very deliberate here, going along the arms, going along the front of the head covering or the hood there. And you're going to see me in a minute start masking things off to be able to hit just the edges of the armor while not getting too much overspray elsewhere. So here you can see me grabbing up the silly putty in order to create a nice easy mask. It's easier than, say, grabbing masking tape and trying to cut and have everything be the way that you want it to be. This is nice and quick. Just make sure that you have a nice solid seam to make sure that you're going to be able to break off the paint from getting too much overspray everywhere. Okay. Good, so now that the white's all on there, I'm going to hit it with Italian Red, primarily going over any of the places that were painted white. You can see that because airbrush paint and red is naturally very translucent, it's going to show up a fair bit brighter over that white than it would have just over that Khador Red that was there before. So I found that the red was a bit too diluted, too monochromatic. There wasn't enough of a color shift in it, so I'm going to go in here and hit it with a few more different shaded areas using Vallejo Model Air's Hall Red. So you can see me using the silly putty again, and in this case it's allowing me to just make sure that all those bright highlights are still going to stay there, but we can get some good shading, some good contrast that's happening just to make those areas pop out more. So I'm going to go there and then keep on using the silly putty across these next couple clips just to darken it up, and here you can see the final product of adding in all the shaded areas. Okay, so now that all the red is done, I'm going to go ahead and hit everything that I want to be a different color, basically with black. I use Vallejo Model Color Black. It's really opaque, it dries very flat, and I like it a lot. There's no other reason than that. Any black paint here could work. Just because we're talking about it being black, and you can see me painting the side there, I did choose to paint this guy with the legs not glued in. I found it just a lot easier to get to the side gears around, I guess, the groin plates and the butt plate that's there. And this is it at the end of all the black. I did cut out there because painting black can get kind of boring, and it takes a little bit of time. Alright, so for the things that actually want to be black, or at least be a darker color, they're going to get highlighted first here with Badger's Rock. It's a mid-tone gray. Any gray could work work in this case as a middle highlight. So for the gears under the arms, some of the boxes underneath the neck and in the chest, and then on the boiler in the back, you'll see a little bit of highlights, as well as with the trims along the shoulder pads. But this is one way to get a little bit different color that's happening in here. The next highlight is just going to be pure white, using Badger's Snow White, so that same white that I used in the step for highlighting the red earlier. Very, very feathered in there, diluted. It doesn't need to be too thick. It's just to be an extra step to make those areas pop a little bit more. Alright, it's time to start throwing down paints on all the metal areas. So I'm going to do his grabby hands, all the gear works, in his arms as well, using Vallejo's Model Air Steel. It's my favorite metal paint. It just goes on very smooth, it's very shiny. The major differences between Vallejo's game color metallics, at least, is just brightness. So if you want something really, really dark, you can actually go to like their black metal or their gun. Steel's like a mid-range, and then you can go up to like silver and aluminum that makes it even brighter. And here's what it looks like with all of the steel done. I did all the rivets and then the handle on his head as well as some of the spikes along his fist and shoulder. Alright, it's time to shade this bad boy. I'm going to use Citadel's Nuln Oil across all the steel, as well as across all the highlighted black areas that we did as well, just to add in a little bit of depth and a little bit of shadows into everything. Once again, it's kind of nice here to not have the legs on, because you can work around it and get into all the nooks and crannies that you may not have been able to if the legs were attached. And here he is with all the shading done with Nuln Oil. Okay, so the alternate metallic color that I'm going to use here is Vallejo Game Colors Brazen Bronze. It's your middle bronze tone. It's fantastic, it's got good coverage. Anything could work here as an alternative metal color as well. So I'm going to hit some of the trims, his face mask, and then the smokestacks on his back, and some stuff on the axe as well. Alright, to shade the bronze areas, we're going to use Agrax Earthshade. It's darker than the sepia that I usually use. War Machine stuff is generally a thing, like big steam engines covered in soot, always dirty, and that's kind of what I'm going with here, using a darker shade for the wash, as opposed to something that could be a little bit brighter. Alright, home stretch time. Let's finish off that axe. Gonna hit the blade with 2 layers, because it's kind of thin, of Vallejo Game Colors Hawk Turquoise. In order to give the impression that it is an axe made of ice, I'm going to be kind of stippling or letting the Druchii Violet here pool in different intensities across the axe, trying to give the impression that there's different densities to the ice. So now that that violet had dried, I'm going to go in with light sea blue from Vallejo's Game Color in order just to create some less dense areas in the axe. So I'm not trying to get rid of all of the purple, I'm just trying to paint around it so you can see through it and it looks a little bit more varied. For a final airbrush highlight, I just added in more Snow White into that light sea blue, and this is trying to hit it on the edges here, just to create a bit more of a whitish feel. So if I was an axe made of ice being swung around by a 16-ton steam-powered robot, it would probably have cracks and some chips on it. So that's what I'm doing here. Just have a nice thin brush, a little bit of watered down Vallejo model color white on it, and I'm just drawing some scratches in random lines in whatever way I think would kind of break up some of the areas. Now, to make those scratches look a little bit more realistic, I made a mix of Vallejo Game Colors heavy purple and black. It's about 1 to 3 black to purple in this case, and I'm just drawing additional lines close to or over top of that white, just to make it look like there's some deeper scratches instead of just surface scratches that are going along there. And there we go, guys. The base was just standard flock. You can see the legs are all glued on now, following the exact same steps as everything else did for all the steels and reds. I did realize just after reviewing this that I forgot to paint the handle of the axe, but that's what you get for focusing more on photography than on painting the model. So, thanks for watching how to paint this Khador Warjack. If you guys have enjoyed this video, please like it, share, and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a whole bunch. You guys can take a look at me on Facebook as well at facebook.com/coalpaintingtable. That's the name of my commission studio. I do take painting commissions. I'd love to have you contact me to figure out a project that you'd like to get lined up. If there is anything that you'd like to see a tutorial for in the future, please make a comment here below or fire me a message on the Facebook page as well. Those are the easiest ways that you can get a hold of me. But once again, thanks a lot for watching and have a great day.